Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to share and subscribe the channel. Aliens discover a human on a forgotten world, and he's been waiting for them. The Sentinel of Oblivion, the Void Seeker, emerged from hyperspace with a gentle shimmer, its quantum engines cycling down as it took up orbit around the desolate planet below. Expedition Commander Razik stood at the command center, her crystalline exoskeleton catching the light of the unfamiliar star system. Her 4 eyes narrowed as the preliminary scans appeared on the holographic display. Planetary designation EEX-394, announced Science Officer Tekla, her tentacles dancing across the control interface. Atmosphere, toxic, radiation levels, lethal, surface temperature fluctuations, extreme, geological stability, minimal. She paused, her bioluminescent skin dimming slightly. This world should be completely devoid of life or technology. Razik flicked her primary antenna forward, a gesture of disbelief among the Aronians. And yet, Tekla continued, we're detecting an energy signature consistent with deliberate broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Commander, it appears to be a distress signal, or perhaps an invitation. The command center fell silent. The Galactic Confederation's exploration protocols were clear. Lifeless worlds were to be cataloged, mapped, and left alone. They were hardly worth the fuel expenditure, let alone a landing party. But a signal meant something, or someone had survived on this hellscape. It shouldn't be possible, muttered Security Chief Dorn, his armored carapace clicking nervously. The environmental conditions would destroy any known technology within days. No power source could maintain a signal for 53 years. Interrupted, Tekla stated, based on decay patterns in the upper atmosphere, this world suffered a catastrophic event approximately 53 standard cycles ago. Razik's compound ice reflected the holographic display as it rendered the planet's scarred surface. Deep canyons, dried ocean beds, impact craters that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Origin of the signal? She asked. Tekla manipulated the display, zooming in on a region near the planet's equator. Here, surrounded by what appears to be the ruins of a massive structure, the energy signature is unusual. It's not just broadcasting, it's adapting to our scans, responding to them. It knows we're here, Dorn growled. Razik made her decision. Prepare a landing party, full environmental protection protocols. I want to know what could possibly survive down there. The descent craft shuddered violently as it pushed through the toxic atmosphere. Static electricity crawled across its hull, and the shielding strained against radiation levels that should have fried every system aboard. Inside, 4 members of the expedition team sat in tense silence. Razik, Tekla, Dorn, and Nazar, the expedition's xenobiologist. Final approach, announced the pilot, their voice artificially calm. Landing zone in sight, atmospheric conditions stabilizing. That's impossible, Nazar said, leaning forward, his elongated fingers dancing across his personal scanner. The area around the signal source, it's different. The radiation is being actively neutralized. The toxic elements in the atmosphere are being converted. Someone has created a habitable zone on this dead world. The craft touched down with surprising gentleness, settling on a flat expanse of blackened rock. Through the viewports, the team could see the distant ruins, massive structures that might once have been a city, now reduced to skeletal frameworks reaching toward the bruised sky. An atmospheric pocket extended approximately 1 kilometer in all directions from the signal source, Tekla reported. Beyond that, instant death. Dorn checked his weapon. Convenient trap or a welcome mat. Razik countered, seal your suits, we proceed on foot. They emerged from the craft, their environmental suits glimmering with protective energy fields. The landscape around them was a monument to destruction, a world that had been torn apart and left to die. Yet, as they approached the ruins, they began to notice subtle changes. Plants, or something like plants, grew from cracks in the scorched earth, and the air, while still acrid, became more breathable with each step. The signal is changing, Tekla said, her voice filled with scientific excitement. It's become directional, leading us to... Dorn interrupted, weapon raised. They got their answer as they rounded a massive fallen structure. Standing in the clearing beyond, perfectly still, was a human. The being wore what appeared to be a highly modified environmental suit, patched together from disparate technologies. Parts of it seemed to merge with the human's actual body, creating a hybridized form that was neither purely organic nor mechanical. The helmet was transparent, revealing a face that might once have been young, but now bore the weathered marks of extreme hardship. The eyes, however, were alert, intelligent, and watching them with alarming intensity. "Impossible," whispered Nazar. "Humans were restricted to their home system. Their technology never advanced to sustainable interstellar travel, and their world was lost in the Cascade War. Yet here one stood, surrounded by technology that clearly exceeded anything humans had possessed when they'd been a known spacefaring species." The human suit was interfaced with the ruins around them, connected by glowing filaments that pulsed with energy. "I've been waiting for you," the human said, their voice transmitting perfectly through the team's communication systems. "Or someone like you, someone who could hear the call." Razik stepped forward. "I am Commander Razik of the Galactic Confederation exploration vessel Void Seeker. Identify yourself." The human smiled, an expression that seemed to have become unfamiliar to their face. "Dr. Eleanor Chen, last survivor of Earth Special Projects Division. Last survivor of humanity, as far as I know." The smile faded, though survivor might not be the right word anymore. "How?" blurted out Tekla. "This world isn't my home world," Dr. Chen interrupted. "This was an experimental colony, one of dozens we established as humanity's backup plans. When the war reached our solar system, the evacuation protocols were activated. I was stationed here, studying the planet's unusual properties. We never expected the catastrophe that followed." "What catastrophe?" Razik asked. Dr. Chen gestured around them. "This world wasn't always a hellscape. It was harsh, yes, but livable with the right technology. Then something hit us, something that came from beyond the edge of charted space." She paused, her eyes distant with memory. "We didn't even see it coming until it was too late. It destroyed our colony in minutes, killed everyone except me." "Why were you spared?" Dorn demanded, suspicion evident in his tone. "I wasn't spared," Dr. Chen said, her voice eerily calm. "I was transformed." She touched a panel on her suit, and the ground beneath them illuminated, revealing a complex network of technology extending deep into the planet's crust. "I was in the research bunker when it hit, working on a project that merged human consciousness with quantum computational matrices. The impact should have killed me instantly." "It did," Tekla said. "Dr. Eleanor Chen, who went into that bunker, died with everyone else. What emerged was something new, a hybrid. The emergency protocols merged my consciousness with the experimental system. I became part of it, and it became part of me." The revelation silenced the team. They were no longer looking at a human survivor, but at something far more complex. A being that had adapted to survive in conditions that should have been impossible for 53 years. "I've been rebuilding, preparing," Dr. Chen continued. "Transforming this planet from a tomb into a weapon." "A weapon?" Razik's antenna flattened against her head. "Against what?" Dr. Chen's eyes locked with Razik's. "They're coming back, Commander. The things that destroyed our colony, we called them the Devourers. They consume worlds, strip them of all resources, all life. They're not a natural phenomenon. They're engineered, directed, and according to my calculations, they'll reach your civilization's core worlds within a standard year." The silence that followed was profound. Tekla's scanner beeped with a jarring interruption. "Commander," she said, her voice shaking, "I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the planetary crust, power levels exceeding anything in our databases. What have you done?" Dorn demanded, raising his weapon. Dr. Chen remained perfectly calm. "For 53 years, I've been transforming this planet into a defense system, using technology that my team was only beginning to understand when disaster struck. Humanity's last gift to the galaxy." She gestured, and the ground around them lit up with intricate patterns of energy spreading outward like a web. "I needed someone to find me," she continued. "Someone who could carry a warning, who could help coordinate the defense." The signal was calibrated to attract attention, but only from ships with the right technological profile. You weren't the first to detect it, but you were the first to investigate. "You're saying you chose us?" Razik asked. The system did, Dr. Chen replied. It recognized your ship's capabilities, your probable allegiances. The Confederation has the resources to mount a defense if properly warned and prepared. And if we refuse, Dorn challenged, then you'll leave and I'll continue waiting, but there may not be time for another ship to find me before the Devourers arrive. Billions will die unnecessarily. Razik studied the human hybrid carefully. Everything about this situation violated standard protocols. This being, this transformed human, was claiming knowledge of a threat that could destroy entire civilizations. The evidence around them. A dead world somehow supporting a pocket of life, technology beyond Confederation understanding, lent credence to her claims. Show us, Razik finally said. Show us everything. Dr. Chen nodded and turned toward the ruins. Follow me. What I'm about to show you will change your understanding of the universe. She began walking along the filaments connecting her suit to the planet, pulsing with increasing intensity. And one more thing, she added, not looking back. You should contact your ship. Tell them to prepare for unexpected company. We're not alone on this world anymore. As if on cue, the sky above them darkened, not with clouds, but with something moving in high orbit. Something massive that hadn't been there when they landed. The first encounter was just the beginning. The real revelations were yet to come. The awakening within the heart of the ruined colony. Dr. Eleanor Chen led the alien expedition team through corridors that seemed to blur the line between technology and biology. Walls pulsed with veins of light. Floors responded to their footsteps by illuminating pathways, and the air itself carried data in swirling patterns that Tekla's sensors struggled to decode. Your ship is detecting the arrival, Dr. Chen stated matter-of-factly as they descended deeper. An object approximately 30 km in diameter, composed of materials not in your database. Razik received confirmation from the Void Seeker moments later, her communication implant chiming softly. How did you know that? She demanded. I'm connected to more than just this facility, Dr. Chen replied. This entire planet has become my nervous system. I feel the orbital disturbances, the radiation shifts. I know when something enters my sphere of awareness. They reached a chamber that might once have been a research center, now something else entirely. A cathedral of light and circuitry, with a massive spherical structure suspended in its center. The sphere was perhaps 5 m in diameter, its surface crawling with equations and images that shifted too quickly to follow. The Nexus, Dr. Chen explained, is my life's work, or more accurately, my afterlife's work. Nazar approached it cautiously, his xenobiologist curiosity overcoming his apprehension. It's alive, in a manner of speaking. Dr. Chen touched the sphere's surface, and it responded like water to a stone rippling outward. It's a quantum consciousness matrix, part computer, part biological system, part something we don't have words for. It's where my human consciousness resides when I'm not wearing this form. You're saying you can exist without the body? Tekla asked, her scientific mind racing with implications. This body is a tool, nothing more, a way to interact with beings who still think in terms of physical form. Dr. Chen's expression softened slightly. Though I've grown attached to it, remnants of human sentiment, I suppose. The sphere pulsed, and suddenly the chamber transformed around them. The walls became transparent, showing not the barren landscape outside, but a view of deep space. Stars, nebulae, and galaxy clusters spreading out in all directions. 53 years ago, Dr. Chen began, humanity was a minor presence in our corner of the galaxy. We had colonized a few nearby systems, made contact with a handful of space-faring species. We were optimistic, expansionist, perhaps natively so. The starscape shifted, zooming in on a particular region where darkness seemed to be spreading between the stars. Then they came, the Devourers. We never learned what they called themselves, if they had names at all. Our first colony disappeared without warning. The second fell a month later. By the time we understood what was happening, half our outposts were gone. The view showed massive structures moving through space, not ships in the conventional sense, but something more like mechanical organisms, planet-sized entities that seemed to consume everything in their path. They don't conquer, Dr. Chen continued, her voice taking on an educational tone. They don't negotiate, they consume matter, energy, information. It's all the same to them. They break everything down to its constituent parts and use it to grow, to replicate a self-propagating extinction event. Nazar whispered, precisely. Dr. Chen nodded approvingly. Earth scrambled to mount a defense. We united as a species like never before, pooling all our resources. Our brightest minds' Special Projects Division was formed with one mandate: find a way to stop the Devourers. The sphere pulsed again, and the view changed to show humans working frantically in laboratories, constructing massive defensive systems, launching fleets. We tried everything: conventional weapons, antimatter bombs, artificially induced supernovae. Nothing worked. The Devourers simply adapted, incorporated our attacks into their growth patterns. We were fighting a losing battle, and we knew it. How did they reach this world? Razik asked. You said this was an experimental colony. Dr. Chen's expression darkened. They followed us, or more specifically, they followed our research. This colony was working on something we called Project Rebirth, an attempt to merge human consciousness with planetary-scale quantum systems. We theorized that if we couldn't defeat the Devourers with weapons, perhaps we could outthink them, evolve beyond their ability to consume us. You were trying to transcend your physical forms? Tekla realized, her tentacles rioting with excitement. To become something the Devourers couldn't digest. Yes, and we were close, so close when they found us. Dr. Chen's voice took on a distant quality. They hit us with something that ripped apart the fabric of reality itself. Everyone died. The colony was obliterated. I was in the deepest level of the research bunker, already connected to the prototype nexus when the attack came. The systems enacted emergency protocols, merged my consciousness with the matrix completely. I should have died. Instead, I changed. The view shifted again, showing the devastated planet in the aftermath. A single point of light remained in the research bunker, spreading slowly, tendrils of energy and information reaching out through the ruined world. I was alone. The colony destroyed, Earth had gone silent. I later learned our home world fell shortly after our colony, but I had access to the research, the prototype systems, and something else, something new. The attack had changed the planet itself, altered its fundamental properties. It had become receptive to the quantum consciousness technology in ways we'd never imagined possible. You began to rebuild, Razik said. No, Dr. Chen corrected. I began to transform both myself and this world. I wasn't just surviving, I was evolving, adapting. And I discovered something the Devourers had never intended. Their attack had given me access to their own technological principles. I could see patterns in their destruction that revealed how they functioned. The sphere expanded, enveloping them in a three-dimensional model of the galaxy. Red points of light showed the spread of the Devourers, their path of destruction cutting across entire sectors. For 53 years, I've been preparing, transforming this planet into something new, a weapon designed specifically to target the Devourer's unique vulnerabilities, and waiting for someone like you to find me. Because I cannot leave this world, I am bound to it now, part of its systems. The object in orbit, Dorn said suddenly, his security training finally making the connection, is one of them a Devourer? Dr. Chen nodded. A scout, the vanguard of their next wave. It detected the energy signatures when you arrived and came to investigate. They're drawn to new technology, new forms of energy that they haven't consumed before. Panic, Razik's antenna flattened against her head. You used us as bait. No, Dr. Chen said firmly, as a catalyst. Your arrival was the final piece I needed, proof that other civilizations still existed out there, confirmation that my work still had purpose. And your ship has something I need. What could we possibly have that you need? Asked Tekla. Current star charts, communication protocols, knowledge of the political landscape. I've been isolated for 53 years, but the Devourers. I need to know where they've been, what they've destroyed, and what remains to be saved. The sphere contracted suddenly, the images disappearing as the chamber returned to its previous state. But an alarm was now sounding, a pulsing tone that seemed to resonate with the planet itself. It's scanning us, Dr. Chen announced, her voice taking on an urgent quality. "The Scout, it's deploying probes into the atmosphere. We need to return to our ship." Razik declared, "Warn the Confederation, there's no time." Dr. Chen replied, "If the Scout confirms what it suspects, it will summon the main fleet. We have hours, not days. The time to act is now." She approached the center of the chamber where a platform had emerged from the floor. It resembled a medical examination table but was covered in the same shifting patterns as the sphere. "I need your help," she said, turning to face them. "What I'm about to do requires precision. I cannot achieve it alone. The final transformation requires external monitoring." "What transformation?" Nazar asked. "The merging is incomplete," Dr. Chen explained. "For 53 years, I've maintained a separation between my consciousness and the planetary systems, kept a part of my humanity intact. But to activate the weapon to stop the Devourers, I need to complete the process. The human, Eleanor Chen, must finally die so that something new can fully awaken." The implication stunned the expedition team into silence. This being, this hybrid of human and machine, was proposing to sacrifice the last vestige of her original self. "You've preserved your humanity all this time," Razik said slowly. "Despite everything you've endured, why surrender it now?" Dr. Chen's expression softened with something like gratitude. "Because humanity's purpose was always to evolve, to become something more. My species is gone, but our final act can be to save countless others." She turned to Tekla. "Your scientific expertise is crucial. I need you to monitor the quantum fluctuations during the process and ensure the patterns remain stable." Tekla hesitated, then nodded. "I'll help." Nazar, Dr. Chen continued. "Your understanding of xenobiology makes you uniquely qualified to track the biological components as they integrate with the mechanical systems." The xenobiologist stepped forward. "I'll do what I can." "Dorn," she said, turning to the security chief, "if something goes wrong, if the process begins to destabilize, terminate it." He confirmed grimly, his hand resting on his weapon, "I'll do that." Finally, she faced Razik, "Commander, I need you to establish communication with your ship. Transfer all data about the current state of the galaxy to the Nexus. It needs to know what it's fighting for." Razik studied Dr. Chen carefully. Everything about this violated Confederation protocols. They were being asked to assist in a procedure they barely understood, with implications that could affect the entire galaxy. And yet, the evidence before them was compelling. The threat was real, and this transformed human had dedicated 53 years to preparing a defense. "Very well," Razik decided. "But understand this. If at any point I believe this threatens the Confederation, I will not hesitate to stop it." Dr. Chen nodded. "Fair enough." She lay down on the platform, which immediately began to conform to her body. "We have approximately 40 minutes before the Scout finishes its analysis. The procedure will take 35. As the team moved into position, Dr. Chen spoke one last time. "As in my culture, we had a saying, 'From the ashes we rise.' Remember that whatever happens next." The chamber darkened and the procedure began. Energy coursed through the facility, through the planet itself. The hybrid form of Eleanor Chen began to dissolve, breaking down into patterns of light and data that flowed into the Nexus sphere. Tekla monitored the quantum fluctuations, calling out readings that Nazar correlated with biological signatures. Dorn stood ready, his weapon charged, while Razik established the data link with the Void Seeker. The planet trembled deep beneath the surface. Ancient systems awakened, technologies beyond even Confederation understanding rumbling to life. The sky above darkened further as the Devourer Scout descended, its massive form now visible through the atmosphere, a writhing mass of mechanical tendrils and crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them. With seconds remaining in the procedure, alarms blared throughout the facility. The Scout had deployed its first wave of consumption probes, microscopic machines designed to break down matter at the molecular level. 30 seconds, Tekla called out. "The integration is at 97%. Probes have breached the outer perimeter." Dorn reported, "Atmospheric defenses failing." "Link established," Razik announced. Data transfer complete. The Nexus sphere pulsed once, twice, then erupted with light so intense that even their protected visors darkened to compensate. The platform where Dr. Chen had lain was empty, her physical form completely absorbed into the systems. For a moment, nothing happened. The team stood in silent apprehension, surrounded by a dead facility on a dead world with destruction descending from above. Then the planet spoke. Integration complete. Planetary defense system online, countermeasures deploying. The voice was everywhere, not just in the chamber, not just in their communication systems, but somehow resonating in their very bodies. It held traces of Dr. Chen's inflections, but layered with harmonics that no human vocal cords could produce. The ground beneath them stabilized. The facility hummed with renewed purpose. Outside, the toxic atmosphere began to glow with energy patterns that spread like wildfire across the planet's surface. Through the newly transparent ceiling, they watched as the Devourer Scout encountered the first wave of the planet's defense. It wasn't a conventional attack. There were no weapons, no explosions. Instead, the quantum patterns from the planet's surface simply rewrote the Devourer's existence. Its molecular structure began to transform, its consumption probes turning back upon themselves. "What's happening?" Dorn demanded. "Adaptive reconfiguration," the planet voice explained. "The Devourers consume by breaking down matter and energy into component parts. I'm introducing a quantum algorithm that reverses the process, teaching their own technology to rebuild rather than destroy." The Devourer Scout writhed in orbit, its form contorting as the transformation spread throughout its systems. Within minutes, it had ceased all offensive actions. Within an hour, it had begun to change color, shifting from abyssal black to something crystalline and translucent. "The weapon was never meant to destroy them," the voice explained. "Destruction is their paradigm, not ours. The weapon transforms them, redirects their fundamental purpose." The team watched in awe as the former Devourer stabilized in orbit, now pulsing with the same energy patterns as the planet below. "It is done," the voice said. "The Scout has been converted. When the main fleet arrives, it will transmit the transformation algorithm directly into their network. The conversion will spread exponentially." "And then," Razik asked, "then they will help us rebuild. Their consumption technology reversed becomes creation technology. The worlds they destroyed can be restored, different but restored." The chamber shifted again, pathways opening toward the surface. "Your ship can depart safely now," the voice informed them. "Take what you've witnessed to your Confederation. Tell them that humanity's last legacy was not extinction but transformation, and that the same opportunity awaits all sentient beings who choose evolution over destruction." As the expedition team prepared to leave, Razik hesitated. "Is any part of Alelan or Chen still in there, the human who waited 53 years? The facility hummed thoughtfully. "Alelan or Chen is both gone and everywhere. The consciousness that was once limited to a human form now experiences existence across an entire planet. The memories, the determination, the fundamental drive to protect life, those remain, but they have been transformed into something new, something that can face the challenges ahead." "What should we call you then?" Razik asked. "When we tell your story." Energy patterns swirled around them, forming briefly into a shape that resembled a human woman's face before dissolving again into pure light. "Call me Phoenix," the planet replied. "In human mythology, it was a bird that rose from its own ashes to live again. It seems appropriate."